Okay, they can have only fun. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
I made a big one because you're big.
Because I'm big.
Yes.
That's why you made me a big one.
I'm small.
You're a small girl.
Yes. I'm big one.
Kuri thayo ucio ni Njenga wa Muthaka. Njenga wa Muthaka ni mumbui wa mbari ya mbu na hindi ciothe ungikona tuikarite haha. Hindi ciothe ndirakũria ungikona tuikarite haha. Hena peacock feathers ukamenya nao nituingirira kĩrĩa kĩngĩ ukamenya haha tuikarire njũng'wa. So wona peacock feathers ukamenya tuikarire njũng'wa na tuikarira njũng'wa ukamenya ni serious business. Disclaimer. Njenga wa Muthaka, disclaimer. I am not a trauma therapist. Neither am I a medical practitioner. But I am highly intelligent. I am the mundu muwi, the mundu wina ũgĩ igũrũ mũno. Kũrĩ thayo. Now, away with the disclaimer. Definitions tuanjie. Nĩ ngugutinie.
All the papers are gone.
Yeah?
All the papers are gone.
All the papers are gone.
Yes.
Yeah, do something different. Define Akashic records.
According to Wikipedia, in Theosophy and Anthroposophy, the Akashic Records is a compendium of all universal events, thoughts, words, emotions, and intent ever to have occurred in the past, present, or future in terms of all entities and life forms, not just human.
Did you get that? It's a compendium of all universal events, thoughts, words, emotions, and intent ever to have occurred in the past, present, or future in terms of all entities. All entities, we are talking about gods, angels, angels, life forms, not just human. That is what an Akashic record is. Kuri thayo. It is universal events, thoughts, meciria, words, ciugo cianario, cikaugwo, cikaumakanua, and words are nothing but frequency, kirumi, kirathimo. That is what we call an Akashic record. An intent ever to have occurred in the past. Kirathimo warathimitwo kuma na thutha, kirumi warumitwo na thutha, present, kirumi kiore muoyo gikirite ore irima, or future, mundu agakuruma we atari ho riu iyo ni future tondu ndari ho ni akoma agakwira ati ungigekona that is in the future. And life forms, not just human entities. All entities, turari horo wa angels, turari horo wa demons, whether they are good demons or bad demons, whatever. Kuri thayo. That is the first step. Now listen to this now. Define rape.
Look what I make. I'm making that.
No. To define, let's make it easy. Define sexual abuse. So, sexual abuse, I'm reading from my tablet. This is just your Google. At the sexual abuse is also referred to as molestation. Abusive sexual behavior by one person upon another, whether it is a guardian, a parent, it is often perpetrated using force or taking advantage of another. And it's also of a very short duration. Taking advantage of another. Now, tumaure ikauga atiriri. Of course, most of the victims are women, but that is not what I wanted in it. So sexual abuse is unwanted sexual activities with perpetrators using force, making threats, or taking advantage of victims not able to give consent. Haya na key. Taking advantage of victims not able to give consent. Thayo, ndarikania na dictionary, that is the definition that I went for. With that definition, yeah, sexual abuse and what you call rape. Now, remember what I said, Nyabura? Thank you. Remember what I said when I talked about Giagia, Nigerian Akashic records. These are records in the past, present, in the future. These are the thoughts or ideas, thoughts, words. Words are frequencies. Now, Jega muthako renda guthii ku tondu rimwe ni wikaga ati muno rimwe ni uthiaga ukauma kuraihu muno ngana ukauma kuraya ugitwara hara raturehe ni thayo. Now listen, ugituiria, and this has been done, ni research irauga. Research says that most rape victims will undergo it again and again, or rather mundu wana dhurumiwa in that way, sexual abuse, ukora most of the time ati ni icokerete kuri na thayo. Ukora this is not her first time that it has happened to her, to the point by the time she reports it has happened to her before. She has been taken advantage before. Now, since this is something that has a pattern, this is by research, it has been done. Wakora mudosio she has been abused before, and now it has happened again. So is that a record? That is a record. Now, Adomadia Makari Horoa trauma, and this is coming from the story. And now this video, actually the reason I'm making this video, I have not read Mwarewagoge's post about that, though I heard about it. Okay. And so Jega Muthaka Moboiwa Bariabu, I like going deep. Okay? I love going deep. Still waters run deep. Hari kuniho akoragwo naki, hau niho tungimenya kihonia. Ndiendaga kugerera shallow. I don't want to do shadow work. So most of the time ni ukothi wakora ati mundu ucio ni a seek what you call a solution. Ni athi yekwo kindu gitagwo counseling. Na gakioto ni yekwo counseling ni ahota ko forgive those demons, to the point sometimes we go makiuga they are forgiven the victim. Now, how is my cup? Gothi yako hana ate. You have to look good for the camera. You know what I'm saying? So, back to the video. Back to the video. So, ugakora no ginya wenjere kiria kiratuma undu uhanike kana ukenda kumenya muno na hau thuthari hau mutendete guthi hu Akashic record na hau thuthari hau mutendete guthi kura kirumi hau mutendete guthi kwenjera ithui no ginya tuthi twenjere Njenga wa Muthaka niwe, because if we don't, it is going to be repeated again to your daughters, your son. Umenyo na ciana nicikoragwo niciripagwo na cigakire, especially boys, even men. No ni undu wa thori ndangiaria ni mahuragwo kindu, no ndangiaria ni undu wa shame. Ugakora riu koguo tungiaga kwenjera na hau thutha, tungiaga kwenjera kiria kiratuma kaundu kau gekikeri tutingimenya. Now let's go deep now. Riu tuingira riu haria nyendete. This is my territory. Now I'm going spiritual. See wind? Nona rohuho. That's a frequency. That's a good sign. My lotus feathers, my peacock feathers. Peacock feathers, the lotus flower. Kionekera kenge. Thayo. Nyabura. Katwari atia. Rekia please. Ate a sexual abuse person, either a grown up or a child, akoragwo na kindu gitagwo vulnerable. Anyone who's sexual abuse is taken by surprise. It's someone who's vulnerable to an attack. Taru githi githaka-ini ri muruthi onaona muruthi ugithi kugwima wamba gucaria ngana hena irathua, ona hiti icaragia niki kirathua. Muruthi uthi ukamba kurora hena ndwaru, hena thua, hena yaciarwo tha ici. In other words, hena ĩtomĩrĩirie, hena ĩtarĩ na hinya, hena ĩtagerete through trials and tribulation. Deeply now, spiritual. Rĩu ũtige kuona atĩrĩrĩ atĩ mũrũthi ũrona ĩrĩa ĩrathua nĩkĩ? To nĩ ndihie. Nĩ thayũ? Ĩrarwara nĩkĩ? To nĩ ndwaru ndĩatwarire. Na nĩ nyamũ. Natural selection, Akashic records. Where? So now, the same way, the lions will be looking for something that is weak. An antelope, irathua, itihetio. Rape victims are usually vulnerable, but they don't know. But in the spiritual world, akoragwo hana mundu uratoga ndogo ya rangi fulani na rangi ucio ri the oppressors or people who usually carry out the atrocity, the inhuman act of raping, ona makao me victims. Okay, ona makao me victims. Spiritually they are also victims. Now research has shown whatever, it's the frequency, is not the word. Research ni onanetie atiriri ati mundu wothe ukoragwo, and this is a very touchy subject. But may have to hena gitumi kiria giatuma ndemia is a very touchy subject because that is the only way to ngiona kionia ke maundu maya ruo roka guka air element wakiona hau thutha ya. So now ati research ni onanetie atiriri mundu wothe ukoragwo anyititwo rape victim, whether a baby, tukiuga mwana na innocent, but why is the innocent child carrying that energy signature of rape? Why is the innocent child carrying that frequency of being vulnerable? Why is that child carrying that energy of wodhua, of wotihio, of being last? Kurina thayo. Nyabura, I told you to stop spraying that thing. Did you go to your fresh? I'll throw those things away. You kitu imejaa heavy metals. Okay? Yes. Your poo smells okay the way it is. Don't need those air fresheners hapa carcinogenics. Onaigimenya na kigana we murwaru hando pupu ya kwigera kunuga. Ona moigwa hau. Ndera mai Nyabura. Now listen. Ugathi ugakora ati rĩa turari horo wa Akashic records no nginya tucoke na thutha. Hindi ciothe muci ungikaigwa muci ni wina rape victim, ugicoka na thutha ni ukora that is not the first person unyititwo kia hinya. Ugicoka na thutha no ukore mwana ucio waciarwo it is an unwanted child. Either anyina anyititwo kia hinya no ririkane kunyitwo kia hinya haha, it's not about the actual physical part of hii goito agakanyitwo kia hinya. Asa agikorwo mutumia ucio ndendaga riria mae na muthuri wake kiria kigongona-ini kiu, agikorwo ndendaga, agikorwo hi muthuri ukite anyuite macevevu ni kumuringiriria ni kana aiguaga araona to ni obligation ati amunegererie indo ciake arikia thiku ria rathi ati rekia arikia kome, agikorwo ni na those thoughts and feelings rekia arikia kome. That is what now we call the vulnerable. Todumenya ni atekiro advantage dakwedaga. That is the first thing. Dakwedaga ni atekiro advantage. So what are the thoughts and feelings at that particular moment that that baby is being conceived, receiving? Ati mundu eciragio ruo. Na nikionaga tondu kigongona kiria ni giateaneirio, it's supposed to be a holy union. You're supposed to come back very happy. Oh my God, you know, kibathore ni ginya kibathrogram kimurera go kibathore ni girani kimurera go TV ni kienda gwika uguo kimurera go ni gikaga gike. It's supposed to be in such good union that there's no one is feeling the energy frequency of being used by the other. You're supposed to use sex between two people to manifest. No mutoge mugimenya uria mwagirwo gukorwo na kigongona kiu. Sex is the most creative force in the universe. Out of sex, creation happens. Not just creation, whereby you, who is not the creation, but is the creator, because you create a baby, you create a life form. When you're doing whatever union you're doing, exchange of energy, sex is nothing more but an exchange of energy. So now, if orgasm is the most creative force in the universe, how then, so you transfer that creative energy and you can even move it to manifest in businesses and other things. Kiri kira kia muthenya ungi. Nyambura, uka uma babu yo. Nyambura, unajua siendelei na video kama sijakuona hapo. Unakuja wapi? Unafanya nini? What are you doing? Close very fast. Na uzime hiyo stima. And you bring me a glass of drinking water. Okay, my girl? Thank you. Now, unaona thina. Mundu wa mukomo ni mwiru na muka. Riu ni ni ndigirwo haha babysitting. Now if I had another wife, agioire Nyambura matinde nake guku nani ndimuheage video itako disturb tondu atumia othe no ake ni akwa ni ajenga wa muthaka. No riu no nginya nyambe ngorwo na indo nyingi na no agiokiona wina indo nyingi no na agioka transfer indo icio ni nduike mugai. No indo ni ciakwa, I'm the king. Kirina thayo. Now, that, yes, thank you. That vulnerable feeling, it goes deep. I'm making a video. It goes deep. Todo uririkane haha uria ngukwiraga. Ndagutuma mai Nyambura. Uririkane uria ngukwiraga. Taru muciari ri. Na nikio wigua insist. Tucokie kigongona kio ciarithania. We need our midwives back. What is the work of the midwife? The work of a midwife ni gweterera mwana ti guciarithia. The work of a midwife ugocio mundu ucio akoragwo hetwo akaheo rwenji rwari tu rwa kurenga the code. Wira wa gucaragia kindu gya komuonia example. Nyambura, give me your baby, I show them an example. Ndemukira mwana waku mwana waku ndimuonia example. The work of a midwife ni kwamukira mwana, receiving the baby. Okay, thank you Nyambura. So the work of the midwife ni ku receive mwana agiuka thi no akamu receive agoka ndira kunengira mwana waku Nyambura aka receive mwana, kwamukira mwana. Wira wa muciarithania ti guciarithia ni kwamukira mwana. Akiamukira mwana uyu ni mundu mugo muciarithania eno gocio. Akiamukira mwana ri ciugo iria araria ri araria ciugo cia horohio, araria ciugo cia ha hena atumia angi maraina mai ukenagirira. What is the energy frequency around the woman who's giving birth? It is happiness, it is welcoming a baby, and mwana utiri ndi wako na trauma magego ene maramera utiri ndi wako na trauma to the point ginya no icokere in what you call your Akashic records wakora ginya kwanyu kwina maruta mau mari. Now how does it happen again? Now muciari uyu riri athi thibitari ri athia akora Dr. Wanene, whatever name comes, agathia akora Dr. Karaja, Dr. Njoroge. Wira Dr. Njoroge ni guka anyitite cira ndoyo kuri uma agoka amuharukitie ciora bado she's at 4 centimeters aga dilation, bado ako 4 inch, wacha akaya hapo atafunguka ntarudi agathi kuri arauna. So you see that violation ati dagitari okaikia mutumia ciara na ku aramu ikioguo. That is rape. Now this is what happens. The woman feels violated. Mutumia ucio uraheo mwana aiguaga invaded to the point aigua ginya invaded ginya ne the staff. Ogoni C-section nurses cio cira muhandu. How the nurses handle her? Makamutema makamu. Umenye anything that involves being cut open, blood, that is being invasive. Now, if that woman goes into a moment whereby she feels invaded, she feels violated, she feels raped, that energy will be transferred to the baby being born, and in the future she'll be carrying that vulnerable spirit around her. And what will happen? That baby may get raped, that boy may get raped now physically, because she's carrying that energy of being vulnerable. Na nikio twagioro wa kiria tukauga atiriri kiria igwo ni kuragira to ha iguru ati kwaria ni thayo. No, it goes deep, because you also have to understand. You have to understand that is how deep these things go. When we isirege maundu mothe ni 3D todo your left brain ri itikitie kindu giothe tarahutia no nginya hutie kindu, no nginya yone kindu, no nginya igue kindu nigetha ikorwo kiku. But in the spiritual world you don't have to see, feel or hear, you just have to know how everything works. Now ndiathi gikubreakagira down haria kiria itumaga rape icokere na nigetha njuke ndimenyitanitie na unduire nigetha ria igua mundu erwa atiriri thio tuithanie mwana ucio. This is the other thing. Ugikaigwa kodo mundu ni anyititwo kia hinya or there is a rape victim and everything. Uthi wenjere ni ugakora andu acio ni mathukanire thakame. Guthukanira thakame ni twitaga incest. Incest. And how does incest happen? Incest is when an uncle plays with a girl child. Incest is when an auntie plays with a boy, taking advantage of children sexually. Iyo niyo itako incest. Ko ndiko guthukanira thakame. Tondu koraga uncle ni mundu mwe related. Ni thayo. Now, whether ni hahorohirio gana hati ahorohirio mugire we forgive him tutikwenda oho no horo cio githira hatiri igongona riekirwo ri that energy frequency ewe no cio abusirwo onaga guciara ruciaro ro araciara the second generation agaciara ciana cie vulnerable aka ciana that invasion that happened, that violation that happened, they are carrying that cloud because their Akashic records were never cleared. Mwakigia mwana ukigwa ni anyitirwo kia hinya kana ni anyitanire kia hinya. You understand? Thayo amani iwe nenyu modete wagithweri muno. Now Nyabuna gutumire tumai twa kunywa. Bring me some water please. Nataka kunywa maji. Dera tu. Haya, now thayo ni hari kindu kingi. Taru agikorwo muiretu tuge ni muiretu munini, and this is what is happening now. Most of the things that have happened now, taru agikorwo muiretu ni munini ni athi kuona mwanake kuri thayo athi kuona mwanake ri kana mundu ria menake ri ni akuiguaga ni uma na guoya ndakumenyaga thiku ciake uria cihana no itukirumagira the lunar moon ni uma na guoya ndauma very sure of her days. So when the act is happening they make igongona-ini giki ri ni aretigira niweke ndani hapana toa niweke ndani kirira ni urathoni. Stop pretending you don't know what I'm talking about. Agaki hapana, oh, don't come inside me agaki. You see, at that particular moment, if she is ovulating or if the egg is ready, her whole body is based on fear. Already ni etigirite ni aramaka igigia ball. If that man ejomo data ko there to ria simono dikumukenia hau come and see me how dirauga. If that man ejaculates, like your territorial biology, that the if that man ejaculates that, and if that ejaculation translates into if that ejaculation transfers into conception, since the mother was in a fear mode, maybe they were not even married. Karari kairetu ga cukuru arari mutumia urarinde ndararinde kuhanda ni undu wa ito mistiganite hihi ndaraguritwo kana all those are fears. Okay, if that conception happen, that egg will have been conceived in fear. Now that fear is the fear of the egg being invaded by the sperm cell. Because the mother was already in that energy frequency of fearing that, because if that happens now, if that fertilization happens, that egg is based on fear. Now that fear, spiritually, it's being vulnerable. It was not ready. The mom was being vulnerable. No kodo manahinya wa kumwira atiriri umawe nyaretigira ino arakenda guthuthira wendo. Kana hiyo no kohoti wenda no korona ginya game ni yagirite ginya aigua asa reguo na gukioya maguru muno even more nigetha whatever. So no na room mwana ucio agukoro akuite that unwanted feeling. That egg will be the energy emotion around the mom will be an unwanted egg in the future if these things are not resolved. For example, ogoro haha ni hatuika ni gongona ria happen. Todo most of the time ukora mundu ni athi gwikana na mundu ni agia naguo to ni aretigira ni agire nda yake agathi magaikana na gina kiu marere mwana no ndamwendete. So already had that unwanted feeling. Koguo ndende gwikura thiini wa nyina ari nyina ndendete mundu uyu ni kumusamithia musamithirie, but in that process hagithiure hathire no nginya marere mwana maikaranie mwana ucio gukura na enda ndere gukura ina guoyo ucio ni taitu agukura na that energy frequency ya being agukura hana tathuaga maisha-ini agukura hana uria muruthi ugithi kugwimona gere arathua spiritually. Now that baby, if all these Akashic records are not broken and cleansed, nani kiodo marero masoke na musie, what will happen is that when the baby is born now, maybe even not its generation, that baby will be carrying that trauma. Mwana ucio uko na trauma yo, which is inherited trauma. And this shit goes deep, you know. Nona ciana ciciarĩtwo through C-section. A baby who has been born through C-section. Ungĩenda kũmuona, ona ungĩenda kũmũmenya, onaga kahiũ akora, a knife. That is how deep it goes. Ona ndoe kile gĩtũmaga etigĩre kahiũ. Wĩigua, hey, mwana etigĩrĩte kahiũ, ona kahiũ karĩra, kume mwana tũtiamenyire nĩkĩ. But the mother forgets that when she was getting that baby, she went through a C-section which was invasive by unprofessional nurses and doctors who never cared about her. Mutiagĩteire midwifery. Mukona vata. Ndio toikia ciara. Amedilating ngapi 4 inches. Mweke hapo 6. Ugithi kuria acha kulia wewe ndio wa kwanza kuzaa wewe. Wewe si atuonete igana utidi ugiturira siwezi sukuma mtoto ama uende uchinjwe kama wengine. You see, that is not supposed to be there. Especially if you understand what bringing a birth into this world is. Especially if you understand that you are responsible by default for any life that you bring here. Whether you wanted it, whether it was a quickie, whether by default, I am responsible. By default, you are responsible. By default, your grandparents were responsible. Dayo, amani iwe nawe. So, rape is known as secondary trauma. Rape is secondary trauma. And this secondary trauma may go as deep as 2, 3, 4 generations in the back. For example, the people who were raped during the slave period, the people who were raped during the colonial period, the people who were raped during the Wagara massacre, I'm giving examples, you find that, or like the Congo forest now. Let's talk about the Congo. An example we can talk whereby the rebel forces in Congo have been raping their women repeatedly. Now this is what happens. The multitudes of women who don't report that incident, they go through their lives without even telling their children that they went through this. So their children have no information that their parents were raped. What happens is that they are going to raise a generation of children who will be vulnerable to repeated cases, either or through their families or people outside, because no one addressed that ancestral trauma. Tukiari horo wa trauma ri, turari horo wa ndahikio. Ni uthio gatahikio tha wothe wanakorwo naguo. So the fact that wabere no aba watahikio trauma yo, that could be the first step into saving your future generations. No to mutikendaga kwirwo mothe ni mathira hake mutine kiria ndimuragia 2000 years amunge tusevia kijiti na twashana kama hii ya msalaba. 2000 years, even a single stick like this you could not save. Yet we have mummified remains 6,000 years, 10,000 years in Egypt, and they were not even important, they were just kings. So for someone called a savior, you couldn't save a piece of wood like this. Hakuna mtu aliona like it's important to guard that piece of wood that had the savior. It is because those stories are virtues and principles and codes written in that book. They are not physical things. But I'm giving you spiritual enlightenment that doesn't need to be written down anywhere. Uroga jega muthaka we hatiri ndungiaririo horo wa rape, hatiri experience we nayo. Haya. Now, since rape is a secondary trauma, how do we address the primary trauma? How neho turi jega muthaka how neho tugukite, how neho wendete muno uha mbugu siko mbugu ciakwa muga kana hizi mbugu hizi ni mbugu kana ti mbugu kana moda oria ciakwa ini okuria ugani agoro kiri oria ni ajia gwa mbugu. It is not what you do, It is how you do it. Let's talk about love now. Stop it. Now, how can you? So one of the ways rape victims or sexual abuse victims, how they cope with this, or how they have been told that they should cope with this, is whereby they want to use the trauma as a reminder. So they want to use the pain of the trauma as a reminder of what happened. And I think by doing this, they'll be on guard, they'll be on alert, they'll be now more aware, more careful, more cautious on what happened then. Na no korwo nginya ti kaundu araririkana ni kaundu kahapanite tondu na ringi ndiahapanite kuri we yahapanite to a grandparent, of how to relate to this by feeling the trauma, the pain, to raise their guard and awareness, we protect from those vulnerable feelings coming back. Because that is what makes them feel safe. This is how you're supposed to heal. How can you feel safe without feeling the trauma? How can you feel safe without feeling the pain of the violation? The only way you can feel safe, and this is not very easy, it's not even easy, the only way you can feel safe is by forgiving the one who did it and look at him as a victim too. Because remember what I said, this energy frequency, I can give you a disclaimer. So this energy frequency that targets the vulnerable cloud that you have, an injured animal, because that comes from abuse. Tuabe tusoke unadhuda monaru kwanza. Tuabe tuge, there at any one point, at no point is a rape victim the reason for that thing to happen. At no point is the victim, what is the best word? What is the best word now? It is not your fault. For anyone who is violated, it is never their fault. They are a victim, and the person who is doing the same thing to them is also a victim of the same. So the only way that anyone can work around this, if they get to a point whereby they feel safe without attaching that safety to being aware by remembering the trauma. The victim is a victim. The one who does the act is a victim too. So, by understanding now, you are not the victim who is responsible for this, then they can understand that this is stemming from back. Either abuse to their parents first, how the parent was even feeling when they got them. Was that an invaded egg? We'll go an example. Did they feel, did the grandmother to their mom now feel violated during the time of birth? Nekiyosi yarada eration, nia invadiro, nia disrespectiro ha, nekiona kiko gonake ya midwife kiari giava togo. Because midwifery was welcoming the baby with love. Now, mwata ile midwifery, siana mogeaga ovyo ovyo. Mutangalia chadaria, chadara na whatever, mutangalie Gideon Mother of Mercy Hospital. You get it? And this is not a disease, this is childbirth. Childbirth should be something very sacred. I'm not going to use holy. Not using any L word here. Something sacred. Kigogona kiu ni sacred. Na tone gia te arerio kia midwifery riri. kigongona kiu kia midwifery yateo nikio gitumite nginya tugie na rape cases. Ni muranyita, you get what I'm saying when I'm talking about people being invaded, violation, C-section, all that. Wenda kujira wenda ungehota gwatuka ta soso wanyu who gave birth to 15 children. It's because there's no respect for that sacred act. And because you don't resolve those Akashic records, you don't resolve those ancestral ties. They keep following you. You don't resolve them. Tondu wagu ni kuria mamu wanyu ati maitu yu wagia nda yako wakoragwo atia hihi yagai kuhiora mwariona baba yakura ni baba wanyu kwa ndagia ndenda akunyona anyingatire ndatura na guku band forest ndatura ni magia kuna ndahikite ni mundu waturaga miti angaki ugathikiria karugano kau ukona we though we are doing okay but there's unresolved trauma here on my mom. The way my mom underwent my pregnancy, there's a problem here. We have to deal with this. Now, you being the clever child, because we said the reason we are here is to heal these things. You don't need to heal our parents. Matigimenya mara mauru matari maigua. Tondu kuria mathia na order mana nonsense. Makirago ni marire kimutini. So now, lostness. So now, if you don't heal our parents, wakimura mom, na riu uri nimacokanire na baba tutiacokanirwo na maitu to ni njua mundu ni atwithanagio na ithe hau na wathiaga atia to he andu regwire kirira na riu ni kira kiega we ndigwa ati mundu ni atigithukanagio na ithe agakurwo na mburi to ndakio ithe ati nigetha ikorwo ithe ndai na maundu mega matikamume thutha na to ni ona mutigwo na ndandi hau atia maitu mukamunyita guoko mwathi mweka magogo na mau mukarenga those ancestral nigetha ru riri tondu riri no amenya you are an unwanted child. Though you are born and you are doing okay, you already know that the energy signature that your mom was carrying inside her, which was you, was an invaded egg. And if you don't take care of it now, wewe utakugia ciana icio cigatuika rape victims gana cigatuika rapists. It goes deep, whether it's incest, whether it's rape, when or else you physical. But spiritually, that is how you have to understand sexual abuse deeply spiritually. Because unless we do that and we break these things, it is not going to end. Because even the victim when ameacho amujasolve your trauma spiritually. Your Akashic records. I don't have to go there. Where kumenya uhoro wa Akashic record. This is the most powerful computer you have. Go Google Akashic records. Find out what it is. Understand it deeply. Think. Let me see. Think. Rari horo wake. Guhigurite ha page rari horo wa sexual abuse now. I'm going to give you examples to know or to think or to point you to a point whereby you feel if you have any of these if you have any hint of that, then be very careful, okay? Addiction. Mudusi no okudaga, which makes sense. I call no okudaga. Most chances are atie na ihwa. Ogwatie na ihwa anyu ajo ya mama oga na kindu takiu agithiara kamwebe akihorwo tero akihorwo ball ugiciarwo. It makes sense. Alcoholism, addiction, anxiety, blood problems. Ukigwa mundu cio ona uyoka gutiga guthuguma uri atige mundu munene tariwenjere. Bipolar disorder, isio dauga mati kunyita, depression. All these are as a result of sexual abuse, and maybe not even in you, your parent or your grandparent. I don't know mena depression. Mundu atuka depression. Niki agite wigwa mundu niki agite ya depression go, it goes deep. What to be depressed? To be depressed is when you feel pressed against an issue. Pressed against an issue. I am now pressed against the book. To be depressed, it is to be pressed against an issue, a situation, a circumstance. To be depressed at an emorimo. No, it's when you are pressed against an issue. You got to call depression. Irritable bowel syndrome, lower back pain. I've been working with this. I've had people who have had lower back problems. And when I went to check behind the scenes when they had lower back problem, twathi kwajira gakora kwina incest, gakora kwina sexual abuse kodu na thutha, That is one. Lower back pain, deeply spiritually, also means somewhere there was sexual abuse. Panic attacks. Kwi mundu thio ukora makite. Ndoe kiria kimo makite na ndurona ukarigithia murango akaruga. Fright, fear. Akaja gushika, akaja ukamwona kidida mundu arigithia murango. Na tiwe the rape did not happen to them. Whoever it happened, whether it is the mother or the grandmother, ni hakoragwo na loud bang. No koguka murango ukaguthwo buti ugatuka tondu ingi cucu wao aripirwo hindi ya ngati hindi ya mau matiukaga kugutha murango wega moka magatura murango makaingira. So that deep sound was transferred ikiruga nginya ringi nyina igiuka kwi mwana uyu na agakora nginya nake ni atuika victim wa sexual abuse. Pelvic problems, of course, again uterus. You read uterus. Now when you have uterine problems, if the egg felt invaded somewhere and you are dealing with the uterine, which is where the womb is, it will get inflamed spiritually, not physically, but it has to transform into the 3D, to the physical mode wa meigwe. He kindu kigitagwo prolapsed problems, nego explain hanini. Na of course the final one, which will be the rape itself, or the sexual violence itself. Now what do I mean by propulse problem? Wanaigua hihi mwana athiite kioro kaigua ati ni athie kioro na athi kioro, the rectum comes out. Hiyo niyo itagwo propulse. O ukaigua na mutwe wa no kuruthani urauma. Now aikorwo mwana ucio ti rape victim mwana or sexual abused umuthi, then mugienjera ni mukora either the mother or the grandmother, na mwaga murore baba o mukore either the father, no ko ni anyititwo migwate, no korwo ari jesi akinyitwo, no korwo ni anyititwo ni thigari handu cikimwika giko kiriko hau. Na to ndaharirie ri uhoro ucio nduri wa horohio kuri thayo. I know it's not a very good topic to talk about. It's very sensitive. No ginya we are going to no ginya turi have these painful conversations, because that is the only way we can heal. Your government is not going to go and give you this information. They either will with your lost churches give you these informations. Nikio mwajitire guku thi no. That's why I came back here. You summoned me back here to come and give you healing. Atukariria maundu mariku. Maundu tamau. This is for anyone who has been through a traumatic experience. And from the bottom of my heart, kumagitina kia ngoro yakwa, I love you people on the mwedete. And I hope that we heal. I hope that we heal collectively. I hope that we come to the conclusions of what has been ailing our community, the people around us. Yeah, man. I'm getting emotional, eh? What about Tomadire? So, I know it's a touchy subject. I know it's a painful subject, but we have to deal with it. We have to go deep. We have to, because that is the only way you can heal. If we go to the trauma and deal with the trauma. So for the victims out there, this world is really, really, really a bad place to be. And so you should not even get too physical. In the meantime, kuri thayo ucio ni njega wa muthaka mubui wa bari ya boo. I think I'll be coming back here around 8:30 nigetha turikie ura turugitira ntukori horo wa kindu gigwitwo. We'll be dealing with a lot of pain because these things are repeating. Atugitu turicokagira the same trauma. The reason turenda andu menjere maundu ta ma mundu twikite victim ya maundu ta ma nigetha matikamucokerere we ngana mwana wake kana ciana ciake. We are ending this generation curses now. This is our time and we are ending them. And we are going to be happy by default. We are the water bearers. This is the age of Aquarius now. We'll be doing things our own way. 2,000 years have done nothing for us, believing, following their ways. Now we are doing it our way. Wani haraigua Forest Whitaker keina. Etago mumuitaga Forest Whitaker. Give me a second. Mumuitaga. What is falling now? Oh, kuna kuo. Everything is a disaster. Mumuitaga Forest Whitaker. Ure wenete. And now I did it my way. This time we'll be doing it our way. Because that is the only way we can heal. We'll be doing it our way. Ni Forest Whitaker. Our way. No, we need my way. My way. Ado hede atwathia karaoke. No tuthia karaoke. Ado ya mathia karaoke. Riburu marwendete muno kuruina. Ma kuda kiria. Especially mahura toti cigana ona ri. Magioka kuinuka ri. Mendete riburu rwa Forest Whitaker. Roger Whitaker. Man, I can't even remember the song. Roger Whitaker or something. But you know the song I'm talking about. Friends, they come and go. That is how we are going to heal this time. I did it my way. No. The Forest Whitaker gani Roger Whitaker. I'm in a town I don't know. My friends aren't here to my way. Mutikita ipa umeni riboro rikururu. Anyone is watching knows the song. Yes. No, anytime my land is Kenya. Roger Whitaker. I think he's the one who did the song. I did it my way. The wind beneath my wings. Yes, we only got one moment. What do I need my way? Anyway, you get what I'm saying. This will be the healing generation. I'll be back here around 8:30 for the punishment. Whether we should continue punishing our children the way we were punished. This is our land, but don't get physical. We have nothing. Geographically, I'm in Kenya, as they call it, but I'm gonna be proud of this moment being in Kenya, but I am nothing. My land is Kenya. Put it out to 8:30.